Seeking in September 2025, a closed room in the heart of New Delhi. No cameras, no microphones, just three men and a silence that weighed 1,000 pounds. Ajit Doval, the invisible architect of Indian national security, stared at a folder on the table. What was written inside had the power to change the course of history. The information had arrived 72 hours earlier, intercepted by Russian satellites over the Indian Ocean. And what it revealed was simple, direct and devastating. Someone wanted the Prime Minister of the world's largest democracy dead. Not tomorrow, not next week, at that exact moment. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do it right now, because what you're about to watch in the next few minutes is exactly the kind of story that governments try to erase from the internet. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell. You will not want to miss what comes next. It all started 3 days earlier, on August 30th, 2025, when servers belonging to the Russian intelligence agency SVR picked up something unusual. A series of encrypted transmissions originating from Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh, directed at a server located in the suburbs of Langley, Virginia. For those who don't know, Langley is where CIA headquarters sits. These transmissions used an encryption protocol that Russian analysts knew very well. It was the same system used in American covert operations across the Middle East and South America. What the analysts never expected was to find that same signal active just 900 miles from the SCO Summit, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be arriving in less than 48 hours. The name that surfaced during the investigation belonged to a man called Richard Harman, 52 years old, American passport. He arrived in Dhaka on August 28th, carrying 3 oversized suitcases. He checked into the executive floor of a 5-star hotel in the center of the city. To the world, he was a business consultant on a work trip. But to analysts at RAW, India's foreign intelligence agency, the story was completely different. Richard Harman did not exist in any verifiable commercial record. His company had no physical address. His supposed clients had never heard his name. He was a shadow with a passport. And the 3 suitcases he brought did not contain business samples. They contained high-level communication equipment, listening devices, and what analysts described as a complete coordination kit for a high-priority elimination operation. Back in New Delhi, an alarm went off in the middle of the night. Doval called together the heads of RAW and the Intelligence Bureau in a windowless room. The word used in the reports was unambiguous: assassination. Someone had built a complete infrastructure to eliminate Modi during or immediately after the SCO Summit. And the worst part, the operation was already active. This was not a future threat. It was a movement in progress at that very instant. Doval looked at his analysts and said something that stayed burned in the memory of everyone in that room. This country is not the same as it was 20 years ago. Whoever points a gun at our Prime Minister is going to find that out the hard way. The Indian and Russian response was fast and surgical. In less than 18 hours, RAW and SVR had drawn up a joint plan to neutralize the threat without triggering a diplomatic incident. There would be no public arrests, no press scandals. The operation needed to be clean, invisible, and final. And that is exactly what happened. On the night of August 31st into September 1st, while Richard Harman was making his final preparations inside his hotel room in Dhaka, someone entered his circle. There were no gunshots, no confrontation, just a glass of liquor sitting on the nightstand, and a substance that specialists in covert operations know well. A fast-acting neurotoxic agent that shuts down the central nervous system within minutes. No visible pain, no immediate trace. Harman was found on the floor of his room hours later. Technically, it looked like death from natural causes. What happened next revealed just how large the operation truly was. Less than 2 hours after Harman's death, a team from the American embassy in Dhaka arrived at the hotel before local police even got there. The 3 suitcases were removed. The body was placed in a bag and transported to a chartered aircraft that took off toward the United States without going through any of the standard procedures for the death of a foreign national on Bangladeshi soil. There was no official report, no registered autopsy, and in the days that followed, every digital trace of Richard Harman simply vanished from the internet. Records, history, profiles, everything was erased, as if that man had never existed in this world. Meanwhile, on the morning of September 1st, Modi arrived at the SCO Summit, but not the way it had been planned. His security protocols had been completely overhauled in the final hours. The armored vehicle scheduled to transport him was swapped out. His route was changed. And in a move the diplomatic analysts described as historic and without precedent, President Vladimir Putin personally offered his own ultra-secure armored limousine to carry Modi to the venue. The 2 leaders remained inside that closed vehicle for nearly an hour before stepping out, talking, assessing, waiting for confirmation that the threat had been neutralized. When Modi finally stepped onto the stage that afternoon, there was something different in his eyes, a gravity that was not typical of him. The following day, back in India, he appeared at a technology summit and said something that puzzled most people at the time. He asked the audience whether the applause was because he had gone or because he had come back. In that moment, only a very small group of people in the world understood the true weight of that sentence. In the weeks that followed, Modi cancelled or postponed more than half of his international engagements. The United Nations General Assembly, the Gaza Peace Summit, the ASEAN meeting in Malaysia. In every case, delegations were sent in his place with no official explanation. At the same time, Cabinet Minister Piyush Goyal went on record publicly stating that no country could put a gun to India's head and expect to walk away with a favorable trade deal. The exact expression he used was a gun to the head. And nobody at the time connected that phrase to what had happened in Dhaka. Now you are connecting it. The question that remains is this: why would a nation that presents itself as India's strategic partner attempt to eliminate its elected leader? The answer is on the map. In recent years, Bangladesh went through a radical political reversal. Nepal has been in a constant state of instability. Sri Lanka went through economic and political collapse. And India, under Modi, has systematically resisted American pressure on issues like sanctions against Russia, discounted oil purchases, and alignment with BRICS. When a country refuses to follow the script, there is a well-documented historical playbook for how to handle that. The CIA has decades of experience using it, but this time someone read the playbook before they did. This is what the major television networks will never tell you. This is exactly the kind of content you find on this channel. If you made it to the end of this video, you already know more than most people. Share this with someone who needs to see it. Subscribe to the channel right now, because the next video is going to reveal what happened after, who the other names on the list were, and how India responded behind closed doors in ways that no government has been willing to admit publicly. Do not miss it.